All right, in this explainer, we are going right under the hood of how a successful business actually works. We're talking about the engine that drives everything, from making a product to keeping a customer happy. It's called business process management, and we're about to get into it.
You know that feeling, right? You're stuck waiting on a report from finance, but turns out they're waiting on data from sales. And sales, well, they can't get a straight answer from logistics. It just feels like chaos. And that sense of disconnect, it's incredibly common in almost any workplace. But for a company that's trying to grow, this isn't just some minor annoyance. This kind of internal friction, this total lack of coordination, it can cost millions. We're talking wasted time, blown opportunities, and seriously unhappy customers. It's a massive, expensive problem hiding in plain sight. So how do companies even get into this mess? Well, it's all part of what we can call the efficiency puzzle. Just think about it for a second. As a company gets bigger, it has to specialize, right? You get a finance department, a marketing team, a sales team, and that specialization is great, but it has a downside. Each group can pretty easily become its own little kingdom, its own information silo, with its own goals, its own way of doing things, and they totally lose sight of the bigger picture.
So, how do you break down those silos and solve this puzzle? Well, this is exactly where process management comes into play.
Okay, first things first, we need to understand the basic building block. A business process might sound like a fancy term, but it's really just a series of steps. Think about everything that has to happen from the moment a customer clicks buy to the moment that package lands on their doorstep. That whole chain of events, that entire sequence of tasks, that's a business process. So then, business process management, or BPM, is all about taking a step back, looking at all those individual processes and asking one simple question: how can we do this better? It's a deliberate, systematic way of making the whole organization run, well, a whole lot smoother. And the goals here? They're pretty straightforward. Companies do this to become more efficient, which, saves money. They do it to become more agile, so they can pivot and adapt to new challenges. And all of that hopefully leads to better profits, and this is the big one: a much better experience for the customer.
Now, you can probably imagine trying to manage all these complex processes by hand, it would be pretty much impossible. This is where technology steps in and becomes the ultimate connector. Honestly, the best way to think about this stuff is that integrated software is like a company's central nervous system. It's the digital wiring that connects every single department, letting information flow freely and instantly from one corner of the organization to another. It's what smashes those silos we were just talking about. A really key piece of this tech is usually an ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning System. And this isn't just one program. It's a whole suite of tools that touches everything. It takes the sales order, tells the factory what to build, manages the shipping, handles the books, and even plugs into HR. It's one massive integrated system for the entire company.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but let's look at a real-world example of a company that actually put these ideas into practice to solve a huge problem. So let's talk about Reuters, the global giant in news and financial data. Back in the early 2000s, they took a hard look at their own operations and realized something pretty scary. Their finance department was costing them way, way too much money. How much? Well, their finance operating costs were eating up 2.3% of their total revenue. Now, that number might not sound like a lot, but the industry benchmark, what a well-run company should be at, was just 1.5%. When your revenue is over £3.5 billion, that little difference is absolutely enormous. So they launched this massive initiative. They didn't just go out and buy some new software. No, they did a complete overhaul. First, they redesigned the processes, figuring out what work actually needed to get done. Then they redesigned the organization, changing where the work gets done. After that, they rethought sourcing, who does the work, and only then did they bring in the technology to make it all happen. And the result, the before and after, is just night and day. Reuters managed to standardize its financial operations across the entire globe. They turned that tangled, decentralized mess into 6 super efficient regional centers. And finally, they got their costs back under control.
And here's the really crucial takeaway from all this. This isn't just about saving a bit of cash here and there. It's about building a fundamental, powerful, strategic advantage. See, in the world of business strategy, companies usually compete in one of 2 main ways. You either go for cost leadership, which means you're the cheapest option out there, or you aim for differentiation, meaning you offer something unique, something special that nobody else has. But here's the punchline. It doesn't matter which path you choose. You can't be a low-cost leader without ruthlessly efficient processes. It's impossible. And you can't deliver a premium, unique product without flawless, effective processes to back it all up. So process management isn't just a part of the strategy, it's the very engine that your entire competitive advantage is built on.
Okay, but we've left out one final and maybe the most important piece of this entire puzzle. It's something that goes way beyond technology, flowcharts, or spreadsheets. This quote from an executive at the Sloan Valve Company, it just says it all, doesn't it? Figuring out the technology and designing new processes is definitely hard, but getting people to change the way they've been working for years, that is the real mountain to climb. And that's why the success of any of these huge BPM projects really comes down to managing the human side of the equation. It's about communication, it's about training, and it's about getting genuine buy-in from the employees who have to live with these new processes day in and day out. You can have the best technology on the planet, but if your people resist it, it will fail.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Technology is predictable. We can map out a process, we can code a system, and we pretty much know how it's going to behave. But people bring their own habits, their own fears, and their own ideas to work every single day. And maybe, just maybe, navigating that unpredictability is the most critical skill in building a truly great business.